The National Electrical Code, commonly referred to as the NEC, sets a limit on the number of receptacles that can be connected to the load side of a ground fault circuit interrupter, or GFCI, receptacle. This limit is not directly defined by a specific number of receptacles but is instead based on the total load that those receptacles draw. The NEC specifies that the total load connected to the load side of a GFCI receptacle cannot exceed 80% of the GFCI's rated amperage. This rule is designed to prevent nuisance tripping of the GFCI. For example, if you have a 15 amp GFCI receptacle, the maximum load you can connect to its load side is 12 amps. This is calculated by taking 80% of 15 amps, which equals 12 amps. Similarly, for a 20 amp GFCI receptacle, the maximum allowable load would be 16 amps, calculated as 80% of 20 amps. It's crucial to understand that the load refers to the total amperage drawn by all devices and appliances plugged into the receptacles downstream from the GFCI. This includes everything connected to those receptacles, no matter how small the individual loads might seem. The purpose of this limitation is to prevent the GFCI from tripping unnecessarily. A GFCI is designed to detect ground faults, which are unintended electrical paths to ground. When a ground fault occurs, even a small one, the GFCI quickly interrupts the circuit to prevent electrical shock. However, if the total load on the GFCI is too close to its rated capacity, the GFCI may become more susceptible to tripping due to normal fluctuations in current or minor imbalances in the circuit. By limiting the load to 80% of the GFCI's rating, a safety margin is provided that reduces the likelihood of nuisance tripping. To determine whether the total load connected to the load side of a GFCI receptacle exceeds the 80% limit, you can use a clamp-on ammeter. Clamp-on ammeter is a device that measures the amperage flowing through a wire without having to make direct contact with the wire. To use a clamp-on ammeter, you would clamp it around the wire that feeds the receptacles on the load side of the GFCI. The ammeter will then display the total amperage being drawn by all the devices plugged into those receptacles. If the measured amperage exceeds 80% of the GFCI's rating, you will need to reduce the load by either removing some of the devices or moving some of the receptacles to a different circuit. It is important to consider the continuous load when calculating the total load on the GFCI. A continuous load is defined as a load that operates for 3 hours or more at a time. The NEC requires that continuous loads be limited to 80% of the circuit's rating. This means that if you have a continuous load connected to the load side of a GFCI receptacle, the total load, including the continuous load, must not exceed 80% of the GFCI's rating. For example, if you have a 15 amp GFCI receptacle and a continuous load of 6 amps, the maximum additional load you can connect to the load side is 6 amps. This is because the continuous load of 6 amps is already taking up 40% of the GFCI's capacity, leaving only 60% for other loads. Understanding and adhering to these load limits is essential for ensuring the safe and reliable operation of GFCI receptacles. Overloading a GFCI can lead to nuisance tripping, which can be inconvenient and disruptive. It can also potentially damage the GFCI or other electrical components. In addition to the load limits, it is also important to follow all other applicable electrical codes and safety standards when installing and using GFCI receptacles. This includes using the correct wire size, properly grounding the circuit, and protecting the GFCI from moisture and physical damage. If you are unsure about any aspect of GFCI installation or usage, it is always best to consult with a qualified electrician. An electrician can assess your specific situation and provide guidance on how to safely and effectively use GFCI receptacles. Here's a more detailed breakdown of factors to consider when determining GFCI load. Firstly, the GFCI amperage rating is crucial. This is typically 15 amps or 20 amps in residential settings. Locate the amperage rating printed on the GFCI device itself. Secondly, calculate the maximum allowable load, which is 80% of the GFCI's amperage rating. For a 15 amp GFCI, this is 12 amps, and for a 20 amp GFCI, this is 16 amps. Thirdly, assess the load of each device plugged into the receptacles downstream from the GFCI. The amperage draw of each device is usually printed on a label on the device itself. If the label only shows watts, you can calculate the amperage by dividing the wattage by the voltage. In the United States, the standard voltage for residential circuits is 120 volts. Therefore, the formula is amps equals watts divided by 120. Fourthly, add up the amperage draw of all the devices plugged into the receptacles. This will give you the total load in the GFCI. Fifthly, compare the total load to the maximum allowable load. If the total load exceeds the maximum allowable load, you will need to reduce the load. Sixthly, consider continuous loads. If you have any devices that operate for 3 hours or more at a time, these are considered continuous loads. The NEC requires the continuous loads be limited to 80% of the circuit's rating. This means that if you have a continuous load, the total load, including the continuous load, must not exceed 80% of the GFCI's rating. Seventhly, use a clamp-on ammeter to verify the actual load. This is the most accurate way to determine the total load in the GFCI. Clamp the ammeter around the wire that feeds the receptacles on the load side of the GFCI and measure the amperage. Eighthly, ensure proper wiring and grounding. GFCIs require proper wiring and grounding to function correctly. Make sure that the wiring is in good condition and that the circuit is properly grounded. Ninthly, protect the GFCI from moisture and physical damage. GFCIs are sensitive to moisture and physical damage. Protect the GFCI from these elements to ensure its long-term reliability. Tenthly, consult with a qualified electrician if you have any questions or concerns. Electrical work can be dangerous. If you are unsure about any aspect of GFCI installation or usage, it is always best to consult with a qualified electrician. To further clarify the load calculation, let's consider some examples. Example 1 involves a 15 amp GFCI receptacle with the following devices plugged into the downstream receptacles: a lamp that draws 1 amp, a television that draws 2 amps, and a computer that draws 3 amps. The total load is 1 amp plus 2 amps plus 3 amps, which equals 6 amps. Since 6 amps is less than the maximum allowable load of 12 amps, the load is within the limit. Example 2 is about a 20 amp GFCI receptacle with the following devices plugged into the downstream receptacles: a space heater that draws 10 amps, a coffee maker that draws 8 amps, and a microwave that draws 6 amps. The total load is 10 amps plus 8 amps plus 6 amps, which equals 24 amps. Since 24 amps exceeds the maximum allowable load of 16 amps, the load is over the limit. You would need to remove some of the devices or move some of the receptacles to a different circuit. Example 3 is with a 15 amp GFCI receptacle with a continuous load of 5 amps. The maximum additional load you can connect to the load side is 7 amps. This is because the continuous load of 5 amps is already taking up approximately 33% of the GFCI's capacity, leaving only 67% for other loads. The calculation is 15 amps times 0.8 minus 5 amps, which equals 7 amps. In addition to the load limits, it is also important to understand the different types of GFCI receptacles. There are 2 main types of GFCI receptacles: standard GFCI receptacles and feed-through GFCI receptacles. Standard GFCI receptacles protect only the receptacles that are directly connected to them. Feed-through GFCI receptacles, on the other hand, protect all of the receptacles on the circuit, including those that are not directly connected to the GFCI. Feed-through GFCI receptacles are typically used in bathrooms and kitchens, where there is a higher risk of electrical shock. When installing a feed-through GFCI receptacle, it is important to make sure that the wiring is properly connected. The line wires, which carry the power from the electrical panel, should be connected to the line terminals on the GFCI. The load wires, which carry the power to the downstream receptacles, should be connected to the load terminals on the GFCI. It is also important to properly ground the circuit. The ground wire should be connected to the ground terminal on the GFCI. If the wiring is not properly connected, the GFCI may not function correctly. In some cases, it may not trip when there is a ground fault. This can create a dangerous situation. It is also important to test GFCI receptacles regularly. GFCI should be tested at least once a month to make sure that they are functioning properly. To test a GFCI, you can press the test button on the receptacle. This should cause the GFCI to trip and cut off power to the circuit. If the GFCI does not trip when you press the test button, it may be defective and should be replaced. GFCIs are an important safety device that can help to protect you from electrical shock. By understanding how they work and following the proper installation and usage guidelines, you can help to ensure your safety and the safety of others. Remember that electrical codes and regulations can vary depending on your location. It's always a good idea to consult with a qualified electrician or your local building department to ensure that you are following all applicable codes and regulations. They can provide specific guidance based on your local requirements and help you ensure that your electrical system is safe and up to code. Furthermore, understanding the difference between a GFCI and a circuit breaker is essential. A circuit breaker is designed to protect against overloads and short circuits, while a GFCI is designed to protect against ground faults. A circuit breaker will trip when the current in a circuit exceeds the breaker's rated amperage. This can happen if you plug too many devices into a circuit or if there is a short circuit in the wiring. A GFCI, on the other hand, will trip when it detects a ground fault. A ground fault is an unintended electrical path to ground. This can happen if you touch a live wire while you are in contact with a grounded surface, such as a metal pipe or a wet floor. GFCIs are typically installed in areas where there is a higher risk of electrical shock, such as bathrooms, kitchens, and outdoor areas. In addition to the safety benefits, GFCIs can also help to prevent damage to electrical equipment. When a ground fault occurs, it can cause a surge of electricity that can damage sensitive electronic equipment. GFCIs will trip quickly when a ground fault occurs, which can help to protect your equipment from damage. While the NEC doesn't explicitly state a limit on the number of receptacles on a GFCI's load side, the 80% rule effectively limits the number based on the amperage draw of the connected devices. Therefore, it's important to consider the total load rather than simply counting the number of receptacles. If you are planning to add more receptacles to a GFCI circuit, it is important to carefully calculate the total load to make sure that it does not exceed the 80% limit. If you are unsure about how to calculate the load, it is best to consult with a qualified electrician. Finally, keep in mind that electrical safety is paramount. Always prioritize safety when working with electricity, and never hesitate to seek professional help if you have any doubts or concerns.